Mitchell from To The Point, back again. Now you're probably like, dude, we're sick of seeing you. Well, I'm back for another segment, and you have to deal with it. Just the last time you have to see me for a little bit, so just you'll be really happy. You'll be done seeing me. At least you get to see my guest face. So how do we follow up an amazing morning and early afternoon on the Wednesday on day 2 of presidential election 2020? And we started with Mo Vila. We went with Cooper Lawrence, the amazing Brittany Kaiser, and we're going to wrap up most of our coverage for the day with a guest you saw Monday. We were talking tough topics about what election night would look like, so I wanted to bring him back on day 2 of election 2020. Richard Bernstein is back with me. Richard, how are you doing, bud?
Wow, what a day. And the last time we spoke seems like weeks ago because a lot of things didn't turn out the way we thought they would.
No,
I will brag and say that I forecasted North Carolina as being a good indicator. I said if it was neck and neck, that means we're in for a long fight. But everything else, I was pretty much off, especially women and white women. We assumed that they were going to vote for Biden. And the exit polls right now, and maybe I'm speaking too soon, show a pretty big divide that Trump increased his white woman support. That could be proven wrong because of early voting and everything. But assuming it holds true, I actually can make sense of it and reconcile it with 2018. A lot of women who would vote for Trump didn't show up to vote in 2018 because he was not technically on the ballot. So they sat that one out, hence why there was a blue wave. They came back this time, and we're seeing the results of that.
Yeah, I mean, this election, I mean, you and I spoke just the other day. I mean, we're talking it's Wednesday, we spoke on Monday. I mean, and that feels like, if you think COVID takes a long time, I feel that the last 48 hours has been, we all haven't slept much. One person's declared victory, yet they're not winning, which is interesting. I heard that the New York Jets have declared themselves the Super Bowl winners for this season already, but they haven't won a game either. But that's what we're going with now. Everybody's just doing it. Everyone's throwing in the towel. The Portland Trailblazers have named themselves the NBA champions for this year. Damian Lillard is really excited. Can't wait to have a parade. The Lakers might not agree with him, but we're just going with it because apparently you just say it and it's true. And I'm kidding when I say that, but let me ask you this. You know, your background, obviously you've worked in D.C., you are an attorney. Well, let's just, as we go on air, Michigan and Pennsylvania, the Trump campaign has now made it perfectly clear. This is breaking. According to the AP, Trump plans on going to court and demanding the political rights, constitutional rights of Americans be stopped immediately. They are to stop counting ballots in Pennsylvania and Michigan, where Trump is starting to show that he's losing. They're going to force these ballots to quit being counted. If these are done legally and following all the rules, what he's doing is completely out of line. And I mean, is there a judge in America who's going to be like, yeah, totally, we'll stop counting these ballots?
Well, I think they are banking on the Rehnquist plurality opinion from Bush v. Gore, which they construed as saying that states conduct elections according to their own state legislature. Mm-hmm. And what I think they want to get, what they're getting at is if courts step in and start dictating the terms of the election, they think they then have grounds to say, courts, you are overstepping your bounds in getting involved in elections. That's not what you're allowed to do. That's one of the goal, I think, why they're doing it. The other thing is just to delay, throw things in doubt so we can now have these shadow electors show up in December to cast the votes. I think there's multiple things at play. It's not sequential. It's kind of tertiary here. They're throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. I mean,
so let's talk. You and I, we spent the evening going back and forth, seeing what we're seeing. We saw, once again, we thought Biden was going to be able to maybe turn Florida, turn Texas. Obviously didn't happen. those states are pretty hardcore still, as much as they try to say there's a purple haze that could come over Texas. It did not appear again. Texas voted the way that they always do. Dan Crenshaw somehow walked right back into his congressional seat. Kentucky apparently doesn't like veterans and went with the Klansman McConnell again for another, the emperor, as I call him. He's so creepy looking. Matt Gaetz was reelected. I mean, I'm blown away. Yeah. What was that?
Keep in mind, Biden got the most votes of any candidate in history.
Yeah. That's crazy. So where do we go from here? Here we are. We're less than 24 hours from when this started, and it's a mess. I mean, Biden is, I believe at last count, not counting Arizona, not counting Nevada, not counting Michigan, Pennsylvania. Biden only needs, I believe, 23 electoral college votes to call this ball game. A lot closer than Donald Trump is, because there's no big leads. Obviously, his whatever the hell you want to call them, Kellyanne Conway apparently is back in the White House doing what she does best, just talking. Her daughter always counters everything she says. They obviously took her TikTok away, so we don't really know what's going on. But she's claiming they won Pennsylvania, even though they're going and shutting it down. How is this winning if you're having to go sue to get your way to find out you're still going to lose? CJ McCollum from the Portland Trailblazers tweeted it best. Why do you need to recount 20 to lose by 20,000 so you can lose twice by 20,000? What is the point of all this, and where do we go from this here today? That's the biggest question.
Chaos theory. It's chaos theory. That's how he's always operated. And when you can kind of dictate the terms and change the conversation and throw everything into flux, then maybe that means it eventually gets thrown to the House of Representatives. I really think that's kind of the end game, is just sort of this chaos approach. What has fascinated me is we are beginning to see, in my opinion, a shift in the American voting population by demographic and by geography. I never would have guessed that Georgia would be bluer than Florida, and that's happening right now. And one thing that stuck out in my mind is we should not treat Latino voters as one big monolithic voting bloc. Yeah. They are very diverse. There's a lot of different communities within that. And Cuban Americans in Miami have vote differently than people in Arizona or Nevada of Mexican descent who maybe are members of this Service Employees International Union. Very different. And the Democrats have to really look at themselves and say, what are our strategies? There are a lot of Latinos in this country who speak mostly English. We don't need to bombard them with pamphlets in Spanish. I mean, it's kind of insulting to them. And I think that happens. That's just an example. I'm not saying that that's the reason things are happening.
But it's funny that you're saying this, Richard, because as you're saying this, I'm just getting alerted. We have protesters, Trump supporters, blocking doors to where they're counting ballots in Detroit, Michigan right now. As I speak, these crazy ass people are here demanding, again, these people, all they do is shout stupid shit. Ooh.
This is Miami circa 2000. This is exactly what they did. They blew down the doors and threw everything into chaos. And that was organized by operatives. That's not, my guess is this isn't just some spontaneous act of regular folks. I bet you anything this is coming from DC or some sort of operative group.
They're all those crackheads it's angry white people. Nothing says.
Another thing I noticed, and pollsters missed this. Trump registered a lot of voters since 2016. Biden outperformed Hillary in Florida, but still lost. Mm-hmm. It's because Trump found new voters. They may not have voted in elections, but they had the disposition and the positions and the angst to fall in line with that camp. And I think, and they've especially done that with the Cuban American community in Miami. That's been a 4-year project. So it's interesting, these new alignments, these new coalitions, or I should say changes to existing coalitions.
It's the shy Trump voter that is clearly is very evident. It was talked about today. Nick Bogantz, who runs Caliente Pizza, 10 locations in Pittsburgh. I could tell I work with him, right? I'm like giving a commercial for the man. Was on Newsmax, and he said that. He goes, that's what the big facts that you're seeing is so many people who didn't put a sign up there. They fear to say they're Trump supporters. You know, we all have those friends that they really don't talk about politics, but that's their guy. Sometimes I think it's just easier to pick, and maybe they're not on social. They don't see the douchebaggery that he says, the hateful rhetoric. Mind you, we have a man who's president of the United States, and for the first time, our White House is completely sealed off with 12-foot high walls. It's crazy.
Well, he built a wall. He said he finally built a wall at just a different location.
Yeah, and Mexico didn't have to pay for it, so they were really happy. Thank you. We never agreed to pay for it in the first place. We paid for it, like we were paid for the other wall he wants. Man, Richard, where do we go from here?
You hit it on the head with the shy voter, and the shy voter just didn't show up in the midterms, and that's why we've misread the 2018 midterms as some sort of prediction or foreshadowing, because they just didn't show up for that. But yeah, the shy, quiet voter, and a lot of them, I don't want to point fingers, a lot of them are white women.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know. There's so much that I'm sitting here going, wow, how many people really think this guy's good? How many of these people who are talking to me saying, oh, he's horrible, are really going, yeah, I'll vote for him? I don't get it. I don't get how this is, I don't know. I know we led this, we don't have a lot of time, but I know you and I off camera discussed this. Brittany and I just discussed it before you. I don't know if you heard, but and Mo brought it up and Cooper brought it up. It seems to be all of us are going, this fracture. This is a fracture in our nation. We are divided, and I don't think we'll ever truly get back to normal. The days of where you could watch Charlie Brown's Great Pumpkin and hear there's two things you don't talk about, politics and religion. Remember, Linus says that. It's a true line from 1965. In 2020, it's throw your politics in everybody's face. If you're wrong, it's cheating. There's no losing. So apparently now when we walk off a sports court, I'm expecting Damian Lillard to go, the referees cost us the game. Again, every game you lose, it's the referees, the umpire, somebody else's fault, because that's what we've been taught the last 4 years. It's the media's full of crap. No, only Fox News happens to be, just to put that clear. Fox clearly, I don't know what they're doing. Apparently they're borrowing the shrooms from Oregon that we just legalized here, and they're taking them. I just don't understand where we're going. What's your thoughts, before you go, thoughts on this fracture in our country? Do we ever come back from this?
I think something even more catastrophic than COVID would have to happen. I used to think it was generational. I used to think, well, maybe when these older racist people die off, but no, it's like the Matrix. Smith dies, but then another one comes back. So it's like there's no way to. It's ever evolving. Something really cataclysmic, even beyond a COVID, would have to happen.